Chit Chat is sponsored by Fun Again Games, where everyone is welcome at our table, and your source for hard-to-find imports, liquidation games, new releases, and much more. Be sure to visit funagain.com to check it out. On episode 103 of Chit Chat, we talk about playing to win and just how important it is to each of us. Is it all about the W, or do you just try to do your personal best? It doesn't really matter, as long as you're having fun. Welcome back to Chit Chat. This is episode 103, and we're here today to talk about playing to win. Mm-hmm. Who all here plays to win? Ryan?
I play for a lot of different reasons.
Let's
talk about that.
We all play for different reasons, and of course, everyone likes to win, but we're going to get to that in a second. Before we get to the winning, or the losing, or the why we're playing, we do have a winner from the last episode. We gave away Parks with the Parks expansion called Wildlife, thanks to Keymaster. And the winner of that was Kevin Miller. Thank you for emailing us with the code word BEARS to win it. So we will contact you shortly via email to get all the details sorted out so we can get you that. It comes with the game and the expansion. So congratulations.
That's pretty cool. Oh, nice. Yeah, you get both.
And this week we're going to give this away, but you're not going to get it for a while, and that is Ready, Set, Bet. Because we're talking about playing to win, this is a game about winning. Bets and racing and winning and all of that.
Also a huge game.
It's not quite available, but it is an absolute blast. So make sure and use the code word. I don't know it right now, or I'd tell you, but you can see it right here on the screen. Email us at mvmcontest@gmail.com with that code word in the subject line, and only that code word.
That's your ticket.
And you...
That's the ticket.
Boom. That's the code word. Ticket.
It's not horsies? I really wanted horsies.
So, horsies? No, it's ticket. It's
John
ticket.
calls them horsies.
It's ticket. You're confusing the viewers.
It's ticket.
It's ticket is the code word. Email us at MVM Contest and you'll be entered to win a copy of Ready, Set, Bet. So we are going to be talking about playing to win.
Yep.
And we do have another announcement. We're going to wait to share that at the end.
Okay.
It has to do with Emily and a little thing called her number 6 game of all time.
Interesting.
What?
Okay.
Because someone did guess it in our Discord between now and when we posted our top 10.
And if you're not in our Discord, you probably have no idea what we're talking about. But there was a lot of heated discussion of what Emily's number 6 of all time was.
So join the Discord.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Well, if you've watched Chit Chat, you heard us talk about it. Hopefully you've watched all of our sort of countdown top 50. And by the time you're watching this, our top 10 of all time is already on the channel. So if you haven't watched that, finish watching this, then go immediately and watch that. And then
or
come
pause
back.
this, go watch that, come back here.
Just keep going back and forth.
go-
A little of this, a little of that, a little of this.
Watch both of them multiple
Two screams.
times. Yeah. Anyways, check that out to see what our number 6 is, but we'll be announcing that one a little bit later as well. But we're going to talk about playing to win, and this has come up for a couple reasons. One is I'm going to be going to the World Series of Board Gaming later this year.
That's exciting.
I am what they call a VIP.
Ooh.
So you guys should feel lucky to be in that presence.
Can I get an autograph?
Let me roll out the red carpet for you.
Later. I'm just kidding. I am going to be there. I'm going to be commentating one of the games. I'm going to be commentating Blood Rage.
Interesting.
It'll be a very interesting thing because I'm not like the world's biggest Blood Rage player.
Oh, it's so good.
But I'm going to be commentating that. There's a whole bunch of games they're going to be playing. And obviously everyone there is going to be playing to win. But do we play to win?
That's a good question. You already called me out.
Yeah, we already called you out.
But there's like a big caveat there, right? Because I know that like winning is a goal. Like you want to score more points than the other players at the table. But I don't necessarily think that I play to win. Or I wouldn't necessarily describe that as my ethos, right?
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because my goal is to score the most points as possible. Which seems like, that's to win. But I want to keep getting a higher score.
Unless you're playing golf, that's to win.
Here's the thing is there's games where all I need to do is to beat your score to win. So I could divest maybe half of my time and actions into just blocking you, stopping you from scoring points, doing things to disrupt your game, because then I'll win. But that is not fun to me.
Sure.
Winning at the expense of you and spending my whole game just, I blocked that worker spot just so you couldn't have it. No, I want to score the most points. So if I beat you and I scored 80 points and you scored 20, but last time I scored 120, I still don't feel great about that.
No.
So that's kind of a balance, I think, when you're playing games, because there are people that want to win so bad that their goal just becomes to block your every move.
Sure.
So that you just can't even score points.
Yeah, and I would say we tease Ryan a little bit here. I mean, it's not untrue, but
it's probably more true for me than either of you.
It is,
Yeah.
but I say we tease because I think it is accurate that you say that you're looking for your personal best.
Right.
And your you're trying to optimize your game and play the very best game you can. That obviously coincides with winning. I wouldn't characterize you as someone who needs to win. You know, like there's people who I think they're upset if they don't beat everyone else at the table.
Or needing to win at all costs. Now, before we go any further, let's say, of course, there's so many different play styles for so many different game tables.
Sure.
And you're going to get groups of people that play that are all like that. That are all like super PvP and head-to-head, and they just...
Or games that bring that out of people.
And that's completely fine.
Like I would find me at those tables.
but I have no judgment for people that play that way. It's just not...
No, for sure.
It's not how I want to win, even though sometimes it does lead to winning.
So I will say, too, that I think I play to win by default as well.
You do.
And I think that I can see in myself when I'm needing to change that, right? So like if I'm playing a teaching game, or if I'm in a game where I'm like, I'm not going to have fun with this if I keep trying too hard on it, I really have to just take myself back and be like, let's have fun with the game, with where we're at and with what's happening in the game, and not worry about winning or doing my best this game because of whatever reason. But I know I play to win because we were playing Turing Machine the other day, and I was playing it solo. And what it does is you play against the machine, right? But it doesn't tell you the machine's score until you've done your final guess and gotten your score. And when I was talking to my partner, he's like, well, why would it do that? That doesn't even matter. Why doesn't it just tell you what the score is? And I was like, because for people like me, and if I'm playing to win, I'm going to look at the machine's score. And once I get to that score, I'm just going to guess because I want to win and I want to beat the machine. And he's like, well, it's a deduction game. Why even do that? Like the whole point is to get satisfaction about deducing it. And I was like, or there's satisfaction in also wanting to win and wanting to get it right.
They gave you a goal.
So like I appreciated the fact that they kept that hidden from me until afterwards, so I could either win or not win, but not be driven by that need.
Let me ask, when you get to the end and you look at your final score and you flip it over and reveal the machine score and you lose, what is that? Did you just get frustrated with it?
No, I think I still feel really happy because I did get it. So I'm like, I got it, but I also feel driven to like do it again, right? Because I'm like, I want to try again. I want to see if I can beat the machine.
Never kick the box across the room or throw the car.
Emily doesn't strike me as a kick the box across the room. I don't think any of us. Would you kick a box across the room out of frustration? Now, I will say, I'm going to call you out a little bit more. You do get a little frustrated. You probably get more frustrated with not playing your best game.
Yes.
Than you do.
Yeah, because I get to that point where I'm like, I'm not trying to win anymore, and then like there's a switch that goes on and off for me.
And I'm sitting here like talking about the two of you. I will not exclude myself. I like to win. I think everyone likes to win. And there are times where I get frustrated when I'm not winning, but it's less about winning and more about really losing.
Sure.
It's frustrating to be the worst at the table. Yeah. I don't need to be the best at the table. By a lot. Like if I'm close, like we just played Dead Reckoning recently, and you played the superior game. Like it worked out a lot better for you in the end than it did me. But we were pretty close. It was a 14-point difference.
I don't want to spoil.
No, but it was
because we actually filmed this play.
Yes, it was a 14-point difference, though. We can say that.
And those 14 points came down to one action.
Yes, they did.
That could have gone either way.
And that's part of the game too. That game
was closer.
It was a really swingy thing, but swingy in a good way because it's a very thematic game like that with pirates. But I didn't mind losing that way. But when there's a game, I don't like losing when I see that I'm losing for a long period of time.
Yeah, or you're like almost lapped and you're like, please stop. Please, we're done.
Right.
That's something we were talking about actually before we turned the cameras on, was that feeling of like, I'm so far behind that I can't even catch up to the player that's in third. Like, let alone catch up to the person in first. And I think for me at least, it's difficult to stay engaged when you're like, whatever, I might as well do anything. Like, nothing I do is going to catch me up to anybody.
I think I've been at a table when you felt that way.
But it's also sometimes, you say frustrating, and I think for me, it's not necessarily the losing that's the frustrating part. It's just like, when you're doing that poorly, at least from my perspective, it's like I'm struggling to figure it out.
Yeah,
I don't see
you feel dumb.
You do. Sometimes you stare at a game and I'm like,
you feel like I'm not getting this.
I've got 10 points and you've got 100. Like, what am I? We've all played that game where it's like, on your turn you're like, I do this, I get a stone, and the other guy's like, I do this, I get 5 stone, I turn those 5 stone into 2 gold, I build a building, and I'm like, how are you? Like, I'm doing one thing on my turn and you're stringing together these chains. And that tends to happen, I think, on your first play, which is something what Emily said. Like, so when you're teaching a game, that's why I think it's important not to flaunt that.
Yes, absolutely.
Especially on a more complicated game. But there are still some games, like simple games, that I still get frustrated playing. Like Lords of Waterdeep, for example. I'm just terrible at that game.
Really?
And I've played that game so many times, and I have not gotten any better. I'm just as bad at that game now as I was when I started playing.
Now, we're getting a little sidetracked here, but I have to ask, do you think that's possible? This is more of a philosophical question, perhaps. When the game has a theme that you're into and you can get sort of sidetracked down the rabbit holes of, oh, I'm going to do this thing because it's this cool adventure that I'm going on and it makes thematic sense because I'm playing this type of character and this and that, when it's not so much maybe the best way to score points, because that's what happens to me. Not so much with theme, but with all the spinning wheels. I love doing all the things, but I lose sight of, like, but that's not the best
who cares
way
about
to score
math?
points. Yeah, like, I don't care about the points, but look at this. Whee!
Well, we've talked about this before because you love tableau builders.
Yeah.
And I think it doesn't, like, I can build a really small, concise tableau of like 4 cards that is an engine that scores 20 points. And you could build an engine of 20 cards that scores 0 points, but you're having more fun.
Yeah. It comes down to my fascination with Rube Goldberg machines, I think. I like all these things going ching, ching, dun, 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 and then it just cracks.
So you're a Mousetrap fan, is what you're saying.
Yes. Maybe that's what it is. It all comes back to Mousetrap.
That's a game that needs to get restored.
So we got a little off track. I think we've gone towards playing to lose. And we can go back to playing to win. One of the things that I wanted to mention was, like we say here on the channel, we want to make sure everyone has fun at the table. And I think it is important to remember, even if you are someone who doesn't play to win, which I feel like I'm one of those people. It's not my priority.
I agree with that.
No, I agree with that too, for sure.
I have to remember that even when I'm at a table, like you mentioned a second ago, really competitive table with a competitive game, it's not my comfort zone for sure. But I have to remember that I can't disengage,
right?
Because that's not going to let everyone have fun at the table. You have to power through, even though I'm going to suck, and I'm going to probably lose by a great margin, and other people might be literally fighting with each other, which is also somewhat unpleasant. But you have to just kind of like go through and power through that to make sure everyone has fun.
Isn't it surprising when you turn out the win? For example, go watch our live stream. We played Marvel Unmatched, and you were, up until the minute, convinced that you were just going to get destroyed, and you ended up beating me quite handedly.
Oh, I kind of forgot about that. It is funny when that happens to Ryan, too, because then he's like, well, wait a minute. I play this game. Like, you've played that a lot more than me. Like, how did this happen? In fact, Emily and I were just playing a game right before we recorded, and it ended up being very close. In fact, we tied, and I won it in a tiebreaker. But early on, she thought that I was ahead enough to where you made the comment of like, we are going to have a rematch.
Yeah.
And which I read as, I'm probably going to lose.
No, I thought I was going to lose for sure.
But I like the game.
Yeah.
And I'm learning, and I want to play again.
Yeah.
No, she ended up tying me. It was Dulce, which is a really fun little game.
It is a fun game.
But yeah, it's interesting to see how different people are, and I think we have a pretty decent mix. Where would you say, by the way, if you haven't noticed, Jeremy Howard couldn't be with us tonight, unfortunately. He was taking his son to an event tonight. But what would you guys say? Where does he fall?
Well, that's a weird thing for Jeremy, right? Because I've spent a lot of time talking to Jeremy, and Jeremy's another one that's for the love of the game.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
He plays because he loves the games, but he also is a big solo player.
Yeah.
And that's Like,
oh yeah, I guess
that's like a completely different. I would actually love to hear what he has to say. I'm sorry he had something come up at the last minute, but I would love to hear what he says about this, because when you're playing solo, it's win or lose. But like, if you need to win so bad, I could easily see somebody like that had that compulsion that I have to win, fudging a number here or there.
Oh, like, he's talked about that.
Making a little. I mean, he does solo mulligans sometimes.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that's different than flat out like, forget about it. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna give myself 5 points instead of 2. Like, that's a different kind of thing. Like going back and rewinding, and I don't like that outcome. So I'm gonna redo. That's the benefit of solo gaming, in my perspective. Is no one's gonna tell you, oh, you can't go back and get that income you forgot about 2 turns ago. Like, who's gonna stop you from doing that?
Oh, sure. What do you think that's right about Jeremy?
I think so too. I think that Jeremy also likes a lot of like campaign games and like games that have a lot of story in them. So I differ from Jeremy in that way a lot, and I feel like his take on those is more like you're saying, having fun in the game. So I don't think he's like trying to really like win those as much as he is trying to like have a really cool narrative experience.
Exactly.
Some of those you can't, and that's a whole other topic. Some of those games you can't win.
Yeah, it's really
It's not really about win, like Solomon Kane.
Yeah, I think a lot of the games he plays solo is not about winning, but it's about exploring the game and exploring, the experience of the game. So we'll ask him on the next Chit Chat. But you right now, share in the comments below, because you watch the channel. Yeah. What do you think Jeremy's all about when it comes to that? And then we'll put him on the spot, and we'll all get our answer on the next Chit Chat.
Dave, if I'm being honest, you probably...
I hope you are.
You probably care the least about winning than anyone I've ever played with. And I think,
that's true.
I don't know if you want to tell the story. I don't want to tell your story
What?
about David's actions during games, because you and I will both point out to David
optimal
actions sometimes.
I remember we were playing like Marrakesh.
Yeah, I feel a little. I feel pretty dumb. It's like, hey, David, here.
Well, no, it's not that, but it's like, David, if you did this action, you would get like 20 points, and you're like, yeah, but this action I get to drop like 6 cubes.
Yeah, if it's a boring action, he's like, I don't care, I'm going to try this way instead. I'm like,
for sure. For sure. So there's some games, I've played a number of Euros or various board games where it's like you have some options on your turn, and there's always one where it's like, I'm going to use this ability. It's chancy, but it might pay off big. Or you could do this religiously and get a consistent amount. I always like the reveal. I like the excitement. I like the fun at the table of doing something like that. So yeah, I'm always going to be sidetracked by that.
And I think 2 things. Like, for one, you don't get frustrated when it doesn't go your way. So
never.
You can explore those chances.
Not generally. Generally. Only if I'm, like I said earlier, if I'm way behind. Well, if I'm way behind, I'm less likely to do that in a game, because I'm like, well, I got to do something. I can't. Unless I've just completely given up.
And number 2, though, nobody that loves winning could have Death May Die as one of their top games.
Well, no,
that's just a game you're never going to win. I think that's a great example of that game is full of those chancy moments with the big reveal and the big.
Same with another one, also Cthulhu based, is Arkham Horror, the card game. Like, Alicia and I had experience with that, and that game probably taught me more than any. We played that hardcore for a while, and that is a game that you're bound to lose. Like, you're bound to die. That is basically the Dark Souls of board games, in that, and it often comes down to okay, we're drawing a random token out of the bag. Oh, we lost. It's literally, we lost.
Literally.
It can be an auto fail that means there's no redemption here. You just failed completely.
We've had that happen.
You would not like that part of it.
Well, we played Arkham Horror.
We played Arkham Horror.
Oh, you have played it?
Yeah, but the reason I played that game was because I really enjoyed the people we were playing
with.
Not because it's my favorite game.
She took one for the team.
It did not make my top 50.
No, it didn't, and we played through quite a bit, but yeah, that was my takeaway too. Is I don't mind losing when I'm outplayed. At all. If I'm good game, shake hands, you did a great job, you played so well. I don't like losing to random luck. That's the thing. It's
sure.
David and I are neck and neck. We're literally tied. We each draw a card. Oh, David's is worth 10 points and mine's worth 2. Now David wins. And it's what? If I just drawn the card for I don't like losing to that. Maybe that's based on my whole I don't love a lot of luck in games. I like a lot of determinism. So I think too, the feeling of winning or losing is very different based on the game you're playing. Yeah. If you look at a tactical game like Warhammer or any kind of like big tabletop game, like winning is the goal.
Oh, for sure.
And it's like if you don't win, you might as well not even.
Well, I mean, yeah, there are some games, a 2-player game in particular, any 2-player game really kind of focuses you more into focusing on winning. Because it's like there's another side and it's you and this is what you're doing. Playing chess or Quarto, for example.
But I mean, you could even think about 2-player games like Seven Wonders Duel or Santorini, where you could be like, I want to do something cool. I want to do something fun.
That's true.
And be like, it might not win, but like you were saying, it could be chancy, but I'm going to try this anyway because it'd be super cool if I could win.
I could see David doing that. But you want to play those games over and over, even when you lose, right? So I think that
the length of the game also has something to do with being able to roll with luck and chance.
If it's like a 20-minute game and you lose, it's like I lost how many 6 games in a row of Porto.
Yeah, still a great game.
I mean, I still enjoy the game.
I don't mind having won those games.
I've never, and that's true too. Like there's several games that I love that I just like Marco Polo. I cannot win at. I already mentioned Lords of Waterdeep. I have a really hard time winning.
Yeah, you mentioned a lot of games in our top 50. Not another shameless plug for our top 50. However, in editing those, I noticed there was at least 2 or 3 games where you said, "Yeah, I've never won it, but I still love it."
There are quite a few, and I think that's a thing. Like some games, if you lose so badly, and you're like, "Man, that wasn't even a fun experience," but there's other games where you can lose and still have had a ton of fun. Losing even.
Absolutely. So that's our take on playing to win. I did want to talk to you a little bit more though about the World Series of Board Gaming.
Please.
In addition to being there, I just want to tell you a few details because by the time this airs, there is just a few more days. On September 1st, that's the last day to get tickets, to register, to go there. Now, it's coming very soon. So it's going to be held from September 28th to October 2nd in Las Vegas. Go to their site, just Google World Series of Board Gaming, and I'll have the link down in the description too. But you can go there and you can see all the games, but some of the games they have that are going to be played. I mentioned Blood Rage.
Yep.
It's kind of, it's the spectrum of games. And this is just a few of them. You've got Blood Rage. You've got Splendor.
Oh, okay.
You've got Gaia Project. You've got Catan.
Oh, nice.
You've got Azul. Things like Dune Imperium.
Oh, now that one I could enter.
Another shameless plug. Definitely on a lot of our top 50s.
If Barrage was on there, that's another one I could.
Barrage is not on there. But it's an interesting collection of games, and the way they're going to do it is like starting on the first night. They're going to have these like qualifying matches for a lot of the games, and then they're all going to sort of feed into a shorter list of sort of semifinal games.
I see.
So you're not you can't just play Dune the whole way. Mm-hmm. So you're going to be fed into these other games, and then the finals. I don't even know if they've announced what the final game is going to be, but then it's going to be the finals on Sunday of the people who've won all those things, and you win rings for each qualifier, like a cool ring. Wow. And if I have a photo of it, I'll put a picture of it, like a render of it up right now. Ring. But it's like a Super Bowl-esque ring.
Sure.
And then the winner of the whole thing gets this cool bracelet and $25,000, which is not nothing.
That's not nothing. That's the part you forgot. Yeah.
But yeah, so if you're at all interested at this very late date, because it's only about a month away now, go to their website, check it out, see if you want to get registered. I'll be there.
I'm excited. This is their first time ever doing this, so I'm really optimistic. I would love for this to become an event. I want to commentate next year.
Yeah, even though
sounds like a lot
Blood
of
Rage,
fun.
Barrage.
I would
Barrage. You're going to campaign for Barrage?
I could commentate Barrage. Oh, I could critique every move everyone makes.
It will be interesting to commentate.
Look at that water
I've never
drop.
really done anything like that.
And Blood Rage is so dynamic, so you got a lot of really big moments in Blood Rage that lead to a lot of like really cool, exciting outcomes.
Yeah, and there's also going to be some other things going on there. For instance, I am taking my #1 game of all time. I'll tell you this right now. It's Orleans. It's already on the channel.
Yep.
And I'm going to be playing that with people who sign up to play with me, as are a bunch of the other people that are going to commentate. So check it out. It's the World Series of Board Gaming, and it should be a fun weekend.
I'm excited.
So now let's talk really quickly. We're going to have one game each to talk about what we've been playing. And then we have a special announcement about Emily's number 6 and the person who won and figured that out. Ryan, why don't you go ahead and start?
All right, I'll start with Dead Reckoning. We talked about it earlier. This was a game that I hadn't just played, and I just hadn't had a chance to play it until the expansion came out. David finally taught it to me, and since then, I've played like 4 or 5 more times.
He fell in love with it.
I did. I fell in love with it instantly. I don't think I told this story ever, but David was like, let me just give you a quick demo. We're going to play a round or two so you can kind of get a feel for the game.
Oh, that's right. It was a couple.
You're like, we'll just play a round or two, and I was like, no. And we just kept. I was like, I'm not going to say stop until David does. And we ended up playing the entire game. And I was like, I just loved it so much. I wanted to keep playing. And we've played several times since.
How many times you played today alone, right?
I played 3 games today.
Yeah, we recorded a thing today.
And I played one last night with you guys.
Yeah, and then he played it again with a friend where you taught it, right?
I played, yeah.
And you've played all sorts of varieties of it.
I have. I played with the Sea Dogs mini expansion. I got to play with the Letters of Marque expansion. This is not a plug, or I guess it is, not a shameless plug. We'll have a preview video coming up, or a round 1 about the Letters of Marque expansion. After playing with the Letters of Marque expansion and going back...
Like you don't want to play without it?
No, I don't. I was almost like, I need to come over here, get the expansion, and go bring it, because it...
Be right back.
Yeah, it just really... It really felt missing afterwards, which is a sign, I think, of a really good expansion. So... Definitely check out the Letters of Marque Kickstarter. Check out our round 1 about Undead Reckoning, and we did a little overview of what's coming with the expansion as well. So
yeah, for sure. That game has Dead Reckoning in general at this point, especially with this new expansion, has so much content. As much of a fan as I am of the game, I don't even imagine I'll ever end up playing all the content. It's so much.
I probably will. I'm gonna try to at least play through the first saga. My only regret is that I played it after.
Your top 50?
Top 50. This very much would be on my top 50 now.
It's
next time.
That good.
Yeah, next year or 2 years from now.
So I'll go next, and then we're going to finish with Emily. But my game, I played a few games this weekend. I played one with Alicia and her son Aiden, and it's called Dungeons, Dice, and Danger. This is the newest one from Aaliyah and Richard Garfield, and I think it's been available for a little bit. But I hadn't seen it out in the wild until at Gen Con, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, I really want to try that. Because it's a little roll and write that's kind of a dungeon crawling roll and write. And then I saw it at a local store, so I went ahead and picked it up. Very inexpensive. I think it was $20-some, maybe $20.
Nice.
So this is a roll and write where it comes with 3 different little dungeon maps, and you're effectively writing, rolling dice and picking, if you're the roller, from 5 different dice, because there's a black die.
Okay.
Everyone else is picking from the 4 white die, and you combine those numbers to get a couple numbers and put them on your sheets. So it's very much one of those roll and writes where you're kind of running out of spaces to put numbers. So you want to try to keep numbers available. And the interesting thing is you're trying to maneuver through this dungeon. So there's some spaces you can always go to, but then you're trying to fill in rooms that are adjacent to spaces you've already marked off to get to these other rooms that have monsters. You're doing damage to those monsters. There's a lot of special abilities on the different maps that you can choose.
Okay.
It was a fun little game. It took a little longer to play than I expected because one player has to kill all the monsters on their dungeon. So you're really filling this thing out to trigger the end game. But it was a lot of fun. It was a cute little game.
Was that fulfilling then to have it really filled out?
Yeah, it was. And it was interesting because Alicia and I had very different things going on. The map we played, there was a little bonus that you could get by connecting sort of the east to the west side of your map. And she did that, and she killed each map has a boss monster in the middle too. And all the monsters everyone can beat, and there's sort of like first place reward and second place reward, but the boss is like just first place gets it.
Okay.
You can also lose health, so if you can't ever place a number, you mark off the top of your health meter, and eventually you're going to start losing points that way. It was a fun little roll and write, and it's gorgeous. The art style is fantastic, and I'm sure I've put up pictures for you to look at, but that's one of the games we played.
I'm sure Future David put up pictures.
Future David's got it all taken care of. I'm messaging him right now in this video. So Emily, what did you? Well, I think I know what you played.
You do know what I played because we played it together, and that is Woodcraft. So that's the new
somewhere back here
Vladimir Suki game, and
co-design, right? Though
it is a co-design. It is a co-design.
But it felt really good. I liked it a lot. So it has an action wheel, not. I mean, it's not exactly the same, but it felt similar to the one in Praga.
It's an iteration of that, for sure,
Honestly, I would say that, so Praga did make my top 50, and this might just take its spot.
This would beat it for you?
I liked it. I think so, too.
I think it literally might become like a 1-to-1 where I just,
replace?
Take Praga out. Yeah, because what I really liked about it, so you only have 14 actions in the whole game, and it feels very tight. It is incredibly
that
tight.
might be an understatement.
Like straight jacket tight.
Right,
like suffocating. I can't breathe.
You're on
tight.
round 5 going, no, I can't.
But what's so funny about it is like the theme is like you're wood crafting and here are these furry little creatures.
Yeah.
And you've got like elves and stuff, and you're like, but also you can't do anything. You have to be really efficient
It's
as possible.
intense. You have to be very efficient, and I think these guys. I like it too, but I think both of you. It really fits
Oh, I
your
loved
bill.
it. I loved
For
it
sure.
so
It's
much.
like you said, you
For
get
sure.
what did you say? There's 14 turns total,
Yes,
right?
14 turns total.
But you're like turn 5 or 6, almost at halfway, and sometimes you're like, how are we going to get anything done? I mean, you really have to like. You can improve your workshop and really
it's like
start
dice placement too.
Yeah.
So
Oh man, I do want to play it some more quite a bit, and we'll have
I
content
think
up.
it's
We
gonna be
haven't
good.
had content up on it yet, but I've played that game 4 times. You've played it once,
Just
the
once, just once.
and you played
Yeah,
it.
just the once, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll probably get it played again this weekend. Spoiler alert: Jeremy is coming down, so all of us will be here. So we'll probably get some games played and get some content up on that soon.
yeah,
but-
I'm excited to play that one again because we only played it once, but like the idea of like these helpers and these things you can upgrade, and I really want to try some different stuff in
Me
another
too,
play and see
yeah.
if it's still just as enjoyable. But that action wheel is super cool because you're being rewarded to take stuff that was either taken more recently or taken less recently, and they get better bonuses as they move around the wheel. Just
Yeah, the action wheel, I would say if you played Praga and you thought, oh, I like this action wheel, but wouldn't it be interesting, intense if they did X, Y, and Z to improve it? That's what
they
this
did,
feels like.
yeah.
Because there are times where you're like, oh, if she doesn't take that action, I'm taking it because that bonus is sweet.
So
Oh,
good.
that-
yeah.
Like the bonuses are not sort of like, I think the bonuses in Praga are just like extra money and then
Yeah,
some
it's like
points.
a coin or stone.
In
or
this, the
discount.
bonuses are very specific
Resources
and
you need.
potentially context-sensitive situations where you're like, oh my god, I want that bonus more than anything I could take.
Yeah.
But then she takes that, and it's like, oh. And it's a really, really tight
It was
game.
a great game.
So, speaking of Emily, and speaking of playing games,
Oh, that's right.
And great games.
and great games. Well, according to her number 6 game. So if you hadn't watched, we had fun with her number 6 because we'd never heard of it. And then we talked about it on Chit Chat. Then it spilled over into our Discord, and we had more activity than anything else ever on our Discord.
There were so many guesses.
Was people guessing at her number 6.
I loved those guesses. By the way, thank you, everyone.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, I have a little bit of a laugh because, like, one of the things we had said, we were like, man, like, you'll never guess this. And people are like, is it Kanban? And I'm like, that's great guess, but like, that's a game I know. I know that one.
So her number 6, if you haven't watched already, I'm about to spoil it, so turn down the volume
Spoilers
or fast
ahead.
forward. Her number 6 was a game called Nerds.
Nerds.
And that's exactly what she said when she said it on the top 10.
Still
You-
don't think, I can't believe that's the name of the game.
Watch the top 10 to get the full description of the game.
Nerds.
We won't do that here. But after a long list of guesses in our Discord,
I lost count at 75. Yes.
Oh, it was
insane.
more than that.
Well, and some of the people just started saying, "Okay, I'm just gonna list a bunch of random
Yeah.
games." People literally started listing some, and in fact, this person, I think, in their guess, had listed a few
Many,
games.
yeah.
yeah.
One of which was Nerds. And if you are listening right now, you already know you won. But Brian B, or the Knight 618, you are getting a copy, an actual copy of Nerds. So we'll reach out to you on Discord and figure out your shipping details. And I'll probably just order it and have Amazon send it directly to you.
I love that comment because he was like, it's got to be something absolutely insane, like Nerds. And I had to, like, I would almost want to be like, maybe, but, well, and also this, I think we can reveal now that you kind of,
Oh yeah, David
Dropped
gave a
the-
little
Oh, yeah.
Easter
you kind of
egg.
dropped a little code.
So I'm not going to spoil it here, but if you're in our Discord, if you're not in our Discord, why aren't you in our Discord?
Yeah,
Get
go
in our
join it. It's
Discord
fun.
right now.
We have a blast there.
But look in that thread of Emily's number 6 and search for me because I
Yeah.
commented maybe a couple times, but there's one time I commented a pretty healthy comment. And just pay attention to the first letter of every sentence in that comment. It's a little Easter egg for you if you haven't figured it out already. So anyway, that is the wrap on episode 103 of Chit Chat, Playing to Win.
Yeah.
We hope you've enjoyed it. And anyone else have anything else to say before we... No?
No?
That's a big nothing.
Well, what about
everybody.
keep having fun at the table? Can we say that?
Say it.
Until we see you again, keep having fun at the table.
Oh my gosh, that was the biggest, cheesiest version of that we've ever seen.
Keep winning at the table.
Keep winning at the table.
Keep winning at the table.
Goodbye.
I hope you all win forever.
We'll see you next time on Chit Chat 104. Bye-bye.